everyone, welcome to Vedantu NCERT Solutions 11th and 12th. I am Anshana, your biology master teacher, and today we are going to discuss the question from the chapter called Respiration in Plants. Okay, so first question, differentiate between respiration and combustion, glycolysis and Krebs cycle, aerobic respiration and fermentation. Okay, in which let's discuss the first one, respiration and combustion. Okay, so what do you mean by respiration? See, respiration is a biochemical process. So it is occurring inside the living cell. Okay, so it is a chemical reaction occurring inside the living cell. Combustion is a physico-chemical process. It is occurring in non-living objects. Okay, so next one is temperature stays low. So during this process or during this reaction, the temperature is very less, but in combustion, what happens? The temperature drastically rises. That means, see, respiration is a slow process. It is a stepwise removal of carbon dioxide. Okay, so that the temperature is very less, but combustion is a one-step process. It occurs very fastly, so that more amount of energy is released. That energy is converted into heat. Okay, hence the temperature rises drastically. Next, it occurs in living cells, but combustion occur in non-cellular process. Okay, next, the energy which is released in the respiration is converted into ATP. Okay, so in respiration, the energy is converted into ATP, but in combustion, no ATP is released. Okay, so this is the difference between respiration and combustion. Let's discuss the second one, glycolysis and Krebs cycle. Okay, so glycolysis, glyco means what? Glyco means glucose, lysis means cut. Okay, so glycolysis means to cut glucose. The glucose is divided into pyruvic acid. So 6 carbon molecule is converted into 3 carbon molecule. That is glycolysis. Okay, so it is the first step in respiration. Okay, it is the first step in respiration. Krebs cycle is a second step. Yes. So it is occurring in the cytoplasm. Where exactly the glycolysis is going to happen? In the cytoplasm of the cell, but Krebs cycle occur in the mitochondria, matrix of the mitochondria. You know where exactly the matrix is present? Inside the inner membrane, right? So this is the outer membrane, this is outer membrane, this is inner membrane. Inside the inner membrane, the matrix is present. This matrix, in this matrix, we can see Krebs cycle. Okay, next. It occurs in both aerobic and anaerobic organism. Okay, glycolysis occur in both aerobic. That means oxygen, whether oxygen is present or oxygen is not present, this reaction is going to form. But Krebs cycle is present only in aerobic condition. Where there is oxygen, then only. Okay, when oxygen is present, then only Krebs cycle is going to form. Okay, next one, ATP is consumed. Here, ATP is not consumed. Okay, so next, ATP, 8 ATP molecule is produced in glycolysis, but in Krebs cycle, 24 ATP molecule is produced. Okay, so glycolysis is a linear pathway, that is like this, a single line. Okay, it is a chain, but Krebs cycle is a circular pathway. Okay, so this is the difference between glycolysis and Krebs cycle. Next one, aerobic respiration and fermentation. The difference between aerobic respiration and fermentation. See, aerobic respiration, exchange of gases takes place. Okay, so oxygen is involved and carbon dioxide is released. Okay, but in fermentation, there is no exchange of gases. Oxygen is involved in this process, but there is no carbon dioxide. Complete combustion is not going to form here. Okay, complete oxidation is not going to form in the fermentation process. Okay, oxygen is necessary for aerobic respiration. Oxygen should be absent in the fermentation process. See, fermentation process, two steps are there. So two types of fermentation we can see. One is lactic acid fermentation. Okay, lactic acid fermentation. Another one is ethanol fermentation or alcoholic fermentation. Okay, so in both the cases we can see what we can see only partial combustion or partial oxidation of the glucose molecule. Okay, next, respiration material is completely oxidized, but here in the fermentation it is incompletely oxidized. Next, end product is inorganic, but in fermentation end product is organic, that is lactic acid in alcohol. Both are organic molecule. Okay, so C, what is C? Oh, we have completed C also, right? Okay, next question. What are respiratory substrate? Name the most common respiratory substrate. Okay, so what is respiratory substrate? The molecule or substrate which is undergoing respiration. Okay, the molecule or substrate which is undergoing respiration or which is undergoing oxidation, that substance are known as, that substrate or that molecule is known as respiratory substrate. The molecule such as glucose, okay, fatty acids, yes, and protein. So these are all called respiratory substrate. These molecules undergo oxidation and convert this molecule into inorganic substance. So these molecules are known as respiratory substrate. Okay, so name the most common respiratory substrate. The most common respiratory substrate is, this is the one. Okay, which is the most common respiratory substrate? Glucose. Glucose is the most common respiratory substrate. Okay, next question. Give the schematic representation of glycolysis. Okay, let's see the schematic representation of glycolysis. See, glucose is a 6-carbon molecule. Okay, glucose is the 6-carbon molecule. So this 6-carbon molecule undergo phosphorylation. That means addition of phosphate. This phosphate group is come from ATP molecule. So one ATP molecule is utilized and this glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate. Okay, so one phosphate group is attached to the 6th position of the glucose. Next, second step, what happens? Isomerism. Glucose is converting into fructose. Okay, so glucose 6-phosphate undergoing isomerism with the help of an enzyme called isomerase enzyme and converting into fructose 6-phosphate. Okay, so after that, what happens? Another one more phosphate group is added here. Okay, one more phosphate group is attached to the first carbon atom. Okay, so glucose is 6-carbon molecule, right? So first the phosphate is attached to the 6th carbon. Here phosphate is attached. Okay, so second time fructose. To the fructose 6-phosphate, one more phosphate group is attached to the first position here. Okay, so now it becomes fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. 2 phosphate are present, hence 6-phosphate. Okay, later this molecule is going to split. Okay, this molecule is going to split with the help of an enzyme called aldose enzyme. Okay, aldose enzyme. So 2 molecules are produced, 3 carbon each. So glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. So these 2 molecules are interconvertible. Okay, these 2 molecules are interconvertible. So one of the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate undergo further steps and later this dihydroxyacetone phosphate also converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and hence from here only one step reaction is going to form, but from this step two molecules are involving the same reactions. Okay, so glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, what happens? Reduction is going to happen and form 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid. Okay, so later what happens? It remove one phosphate group from them. Okay, so what happens? 3-phosphoglyceric acid, one phosphate group is removed, and that phosphate group is attached to the ADP and converted into ATP. Since two molecule of 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid is present, it is going to release 2 ATP molecule. Here 2 ATP molecule is released. Okay, then 3-phosphoglyceric acid is going to convert into 2-phosphoglyceric acid. Some mutation happened. Okay, so from the third position, the phosphate group is moved to second position. Okay, so next what happens? So one molecule of water is removed from here and it converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. Okay, phosphoenol pyruvate. From phosphoenol pyruvate also one phosphate group is removed. So 2-phosphoglyceric acid, phosphoenol pyruvate is present. Hence 2 ATP molecules are produced and 2 pyruvic acid. Finally 2 pyruvic acid is going to form. What are the main steps in aerobic respiration? Where does it takes place? Okay, so we need to tell what are the steps involved in aerobic respiration in the presence of oxygen. So what are the steps of respiration? Okay, so the main steps of aerobic respiration is, the first step is as always glycolysis. So glycolysis means we know glucose is splitting and glucose is splitting into pyruvic acid. So this step is occurring in the cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, so glycolysis occur in the cytoplasm of the cell. So second step is oxidative decarboxylation. So this pyruvic acid is converting into acetyl-CoA. Okay, so acetyl-CoA. Yes, so this step is occur in the mitochondrial matrix. Okay, this step is occurring in the mitochondria. Okay, so inside the inner membrane, that is called matrix. In the matrix, this step is going to form. Okay, after that is the Krebs cycle. This is also known as tricarboxylic acid cycle. Okay, so this, or citric acid cycle. Okay, it is also known as citric acid cycle. So in this step, the end product is carbon dioxide. Okay, the end product is carbon dioxide, and this process takes place in the mitochondrial matrix. Okay, so later at the end product, okay, at the end of the Krebs cycle, we will get ATP. Along with that, we will get NADPH also. Okay, NADPH2 also. So this NADPH2 and FADPH2 has to produce ATP. So the last step is electron transport chain. Okay, electron transport chain. At the end of the electron transport chain, we can see oxidative phosphorylation. In the oxidative phosphorylation, what happens? NADPH2 is going to produce 3 ATP molecule and FADH2 produce 2 ATP molecules. So these are the steps involved in aerobic respiration. Okay, clear, right? Yes. Next question. Give the schematic representation of overall view of Krebs cycle. Okay, so this is the first step here, shows that oxidative decarboxylation. What happens here? Pyruvic acid is converting into acetyl-CoA. So during this process, a carbon dioxide is released. Okay, so a carbon dioxide is released and CoA. Okay, coenzyme A is added here. So 3 carbon molecule is converting into 2 carbon molecule, that is called acetyl-CoA. This acetyl-CoA is combined with oxaloacetic acid. Okay, acetyl-CoA is combining with oxaloacetic acid and forms the first stable molecule in the Krebs cycle, that is called citric acid cycle. Hence it is also known as citric acid, hence it is also known as citric acid cycle. Okay, so this citric acid cycle removes a carbon dioxide and it undergo reduction. Okay, so during reduction what happens? NAD NAD is converting into NADH2. So alpha ketoglutarate acid is produced. It is a 5-carbon atom. This alpha ketoglutarate acid is converting into succinyl-CoA, and then it is converting into succinic acid. After that, it is converting into fumaric acid. From fumaric acid, it is converting into malic acid. From malic acid, it is converting into oxaloacetic acid. Okay, so 3-carbon pyruvic acid is going to release 1 carbon dioxide here, another carbon dioxide here, and the next carbon dioxide here. Okay, so 3 carbon is removed here. So finally we will get oxaloacetic acid is the end product. Okay, so it is a cyclic reaction. Okay, so hence it is known as citric acid cycle or tricarboxylic acid cycle, or it is also known as Krebs cycle, because this process was explained by Hans Krebs. So hence it is also known as Krebs cycle. Clear, right? Okay, next question. Explain ETS. What is ETS? Electron Transport System. Okay, so the product produced by respiration is ATP and NADPH, right? So ATP, NADPH or FADH. Okay, so these molecule undergo splitting. Okay, so these molecule undergo splitting in the matrix, and it going to produce 2 H plus, 2 electron and NAD. Okay, so this electron is travel through the integral proteins. So in this inner mitochondrial membrane having many proteins. So through these proteins, this electron is transported, and finally it reaches a point where it is called cytochrome AA3, and it these 2 electron enter back to the matrix itself. During that time, what happens? Water molecule is produced. Okay, so we'll discuss one by one. See, there are 4 complexes in the inner mitochondrial membrane. See, this is first, this is second, this is 3, and this is 4th. Okay, so from each level, okay, so from first level to second level, when this electron is moving, some energy is released. By utilizing that energy, this proton molecule is transported into the intermitochondrial space. Okay, so now the proton is moved to the intermitochondrial space. Okay, so then it is moved to the second complex, after that third complex, and each level what we can see, the proton is moving towards the intermembrane space. Okay, so then finally it reaches the complex 4. In complex 4, what is present? Cytochrome AA3. So from cytochrome AA3, it is moving back to the matrix itself. The electron is moving back to the matrix itself. So during that time, what happens? The proton is present in the matrix as well. This proton and also the nascent oxygen. Okay, during photolysis, what happens? During photolysis, what happens? Water is splitted, right? So what happens? See, 2 proton plus 2 electron plus nascent oxygen is released, right? This nascent oxygen is combined with the proton and it converts into water. Clear, right? Yes. So this is about electron transport system. Yes. Next question. Distinguish between the following: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, glycolysis and fermentation, glycolysis and citric acid cycle. Okay, let's discuss one by one. First one is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So the first difference itself, presence of oxygen. Aerobic respiration means with the help of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration means without oxygen, in the absence of oxygen. The reaction happens in the absence of oxygen. Okay, so next, here in aerobic, complete oxidation happens. Okay, complete oxidation happens and carbon dioxide is released. But in anaerobic reaction, partial oxidation. Okay, partial oxidation we can see. Yes. So next, carbon dioxide and water are the end product in aerobic respiration, but here some amount of carbon dioxide is also formed and organic molecule, okay, like ethanol and lactic acid. Okay, so some organic molecules are also produced. Yes. Next one is exchange of gas takes place in aerobic respiration, but in anaerobic respiration there is no exchange of gases. Okay. Next question. Oh, second one. Glycolysis and fermentation. See, what you mean by glycolysis? Glycolysis means splitting of the glucose. See, it is the stepwise in aerobic respiration. It is the common in aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Okay, so this we can see both in aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Glycolysis means stepwise removal of carbon dioxide. Okay, stepwise removal of carbon from the glucose molecule. So that is called glycolysis. Here the glucose is converting into pyruvic acid. Okay, so glucose is 6 carbon atom and pyruvic acid is 3 carbon atom. Okay, next one is it produces pyruvic acid, but in fermentation lactic acid or ethanol is produced. Next one is glycolysis. 2 molecules of NADH is produced, but in fermentation what happens? NADH generated is utilized during fermentation. Okay, so during glycolysis NADH is produced, 2 NADH is produced, but that NADH is utilized during fermentation process. Okay, ethanolic fermentation or lactic acid fermentation, in both the cases this NADH is utilized. Next one is it forms 2 ATP for every glucose molecule. So the end product is 2 ATP. Okay, so but here there is no ATP produced. Yes. Okay, so this is about glycolysis and fermentation. Next one, glycolysis and citric acid cycle. So glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm. Citric acid occurs in the mitochondria. Okay, so next it is a linear pathway, it is a circular pathway. And glucose is converting into pyruvic acid. Here the pyruvic acid or acetyl-CoA is converting into carbon dioxide. Okay, converting into carbon dioxide. Here only 8 ATP is produced, in which most of the ATP is utilized. That means 2 ATP is utilized and only 6 ATP is formed. But in citric acid cycle, 24 ATP molecule is produced. Okay. Next question. What are the assumptions made during calculation of net gain of ATP? Okay. So, the assumptions are, first one, this sequence or this event should be sequential. That means first we have to see glycolysis, after that TCA cycle, and later ETS, and finally oxidative phosphorylation. But in actual case, in a living organism, we can't see this sequential manner. Okay, so second one is NADH produced in the glycolysis. Okay, NADH produced in the glycolysis that is present in the cytoplasm of the cell that have to move towards the mitochondria. But in most of the cases, this NADH is utilized for various other activities. Okay, various other process. Okay, so this NADH is not always come into the mitochondria. Okay, so next one is none of the intermediate in the pathway are utilized to synthesis no other compounds. See, this pyruvic acid is directly enter into Krebs cycle, then only this 36 ATP calculation we will get. If this pyruvic acid is moving to some other reaction, or this compound is involved in some other reactions, then there is no Krebs cycle. When there is no Krebs cycle, there is no 36 ATP. Okay, next one, only glucose is being respired. There is no other molecule is respired. Is it correct? No. Amino acid also respired. Okay, and also what else? See, fatty acids. Okay, nucleic acid. These are also respired. So only glucose molecule we can give exact number. There is no other molecule we can see the exact number. Okay, so these are the assumption made during calculation of the gain of ATP. Okay, yes. Next one. Discuss the respiratory pathway in the amphibolic pathway. Okay, respiratory pathway is an amphibolic pathway. Okay, so let's see what is respiration. Respiration means the by simple way, to understand, we will take an example. See, glucose is converting into carbon dioxide and water, and it produces more ATP, energy. Okay, so this is called respiration, right? So in this process, what is happening? 6 carbon atom, that is a larger molecule. Okay, a larger molecule is converting into smaller molecule, right? So this process is known as catabolic reaction. This is known as catabolic reaction. Okay, so this process is known as catabolic reaction. Okay, so this step is not single step process, right? Respiration is not single step process. It involves many steps, many enzymes are involved, right? So what happens here? See, this glucose first undergo pyruvic acid, that is known as glycolysis, and later it involves various other reaction, that is known as Krebs cycle, and then ETS, and so on. There are many reaction happening, right? So during that, there are many byproducts, many products are produced. See, in glycolysis, pyruvic acid. So this pyruvic acid may help in many other reactions. So during that reaction, what happens? See, 2 pyruvic acid, or this pyruvic acid is combining with some other molecule. Okay, some other molecule, and produces some larger molecule. Okay, so during that, what happens? Simple two molecules is combining and a larger molecule is forming. So this reaction is known as anabolic reaction, right? So this reaction is known as anabolic reaction. Hence, in respiration, we can see both catabolic reaction and also anabolic reaction. Hence, it is known as amphibolic pathway. Okay. Next question. Define, argue, what is the value for fat? Okay. So, argue means respiratory quotient. Argue means what? Respiratory quotient. What is respiratory quotient? The volume of carbon dioxide evolved to the volume of oxygen utilized for a reaction. Okay. For example, we'll take this glucose molecule. Okay. So, C6H12O6. For this reaction, 6 molecule of oxygen is utilized to oxidize glucose into carbon dioxide. So 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 water molecule, and also ATP is generated. So what is the RQ value for this particular reaction? So for this particular reaction is RQ is equal to volume of carbon dioxide evolved to the volume of oxygen consumed. So 6 carbon dioxide divided by 6 oxygen. So we will get 1. So for carbon dioxide, the RQ value is always equal to 1. But here they asked what is the value of fat, right? So we'll take the example of tripalmitin. Okay, tripalmitin is C51H80, sorry, 98 and O6. Okay, this molecule is combining with oxygen to oxidize this molecule. Okay, so what happens? See, two molecules of tripalmitin is combining with 145 oxygen to produce 102 molecule of carbon dioxide and 98 water molecule and energy. Okay, so we will take the value. Okay, so RQ is equal to 102 divided by 145. We will get 0.7. 0.7 is the respiratory quotient of the fat. Next question. What is oxidative phosphorylation? Okay, so we know during respiration, what happens? Glycolysis, Krebs cycle, right? So these kind of reaction is going to form and the product is ATP and NADPH, right? So NADPH or FADH2. NADH2 or FADH2 is the product, right? So this product is split and undergo ETS, right? So this product is split like 2 electron, 2 proton and what happens? NADH, NAD plus, right? And here 2 electron, 2 proton and FAD plus, right? So this molecule split and it undergo ETS, electron transport system, and finally it reaches the complex fifth, that is ATPase synthetase enzyme. Okay, so in the ATPase synthetase enzyme, this is the inner mitochondrial membrane. This is the inner mitochondrial membrane. Okay, so this is the inner mitochondrial membrane. Here we can find two complex, okay, two molecules. This is called F0 and this is known as F1. Okay, so this helps in the production of ATP. I'll tell how it is going to perform. See, here in the intermembrane space, the concentration of the H plus is very much high. So what happens? Actually, what happens? The molecule from the higher concentration towards the lower concentration move, right? So this is known as diffusion. So this molecule have to enter into the matrix. But in between, what is present? The inner mitochondrial membrane. So this is not allowing the proton entering into matrix. But this F0 molecule, okay, the complex 5 or ATP synthetase enzyme. In the ATP synthetase enzyme, F0 molecule allow the proton to enter through him and entering into the matrix. But this F0 is entering, allowing, right? So this H plus ion is moving to the F0, but once it entered into the F0, this F1 is telling that if you are converting, if you are going into the matrix, I will allow, but you have to make a small favor to me. That is, I have inorganic phosphate and also ADP. So you need to convert these two molecules and produce ATP. Okay, so this proton is agreeing to that and it is converting this ADP and inorganic phosphate to ATP. So this is oxidative phosphorylation. Here NADH is going to produce 3 ATP and FADH is going to produce 2 ATP. Yes? So next question. What is significance of stepwise release of energy in respiration? Okay. What is the significance? See, glycolysis we can see almost 10 steps, right? 10 steps we can see. And even in the Krebs cycle, it is not a single step process. This also require 6 to 7 steps, right? 6 to 7 steps it is also required. Okay, so during these steps, means during this reaction, it is taking lot of steps. Why it is taking lot of steps? Because if we are converting or if we are doing a reaction in one step, okay, so it is going to release, see, this molecule is splitting into smaller molecule in one go. What happens? Lot of energy is released. Okay, so this energy cannot be utilized for various other activity, right? Okay, so this energy is released in the form of heat. We don't want that. We don't want that. We need to utilize that energy to convert into ATP. For that, what we are doing? Stepwise removal of. Stepwise, slowly it is releasing carbon dioxide. One molecule it is releasing. So that what happens? The process is slower. The energy is going to produce in each step is very few amount, so that energy can be utilized to produce ATP molecule. Okay. So this is about today's class. So we have learned a lot of questions from the chapter Respiration in Plants. Hope you have understood. So if you have any doubt, comment below. If you like the video, please like the button and share it to your friends. And most importantly, subscribe. Thank you all.